So before proceeding, I'll tell you a little bit about our guest. So it's an honor to introduce Mr. Michael and Mr. Ken. So let me talk about Mr. Michael first. So Mr. Michael Soong, born in 1975, he teaches in marketing, management, and bursting in Cambridge International College. So, so he is an investment advisor with a company called Global Flow Institute in Zurich-based company, committed in corporate training and personal coaching. So I think we should ask this question to our guests. So Mrs. Ken and Mr. Michael, welcome to our show, and it's an honor to introduce you. And I welcome you on behalf of our whole team, Qaumi Awaaz. So welcome you on board, sir. How are you today?
Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having us. Yeah, thank you for having us. We are just fine, yes.
So, sir, let's tell us a little bit about you, from where you came from, so that our audience, I know you personally, but it would be good if you can share,
yes.
about you, about,
yes.
Your books for our listeners. So, can you
yes.
tell us a little bit about yourself? Yeah.
Of course. Thanks, Amrit. My name is Ken Soong, as you know, and I teach in the college, in some university courses, in business, marketing strategies, and all that. So what we are doing here right now is, we want to write a book to tell everybody about, migrating to Australia, what are the good points and the bad points. You see, I came here in Australia first time in 1993 to study here in a small town called Wagga Wagga in New South Wales.
Yeah. Okay.
And after that, I went back to Malaysia. And, in 2004, we decided to come back again. Me and my brother decided to come back, and then bring our parents. All of us came here with our sister as well. There are 5 in the family. And, life as a migrant is very different from life as a student, right?
Yeah, so, I can understand because we all came here as migrants. Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's right. So we had a lot of, adjusting, a lot of, discovery living here as a migrant. Because living here as migrants, basically we are out on our own. We don't have any classmates, and all that. And then our life is different because it's all about paying bills and, working, finding jobs, improve our career opportunity. So, yeah, and then the other thing about my professional background or career background is back in Malaysia. Me and my brother, we are mostly involved in marketing and exporting. And Michael started a business in 1997, and I joined him as well. We supply products to pharmacies and, healthcare companies.
That's really great, sir. And today, with us, your brother Michael Soong is also here, and our co-host Mr. Surinder Singh as well. So, Michael, this is all about Ken, and Ken is my personal teacher as well as mentor. So, I know you by face. So, can you tell us a little bit about you as well?
Oh yeah, okay. Basically, I was an international student here. Graduated in Australia in 1996 from Swinburne University. Yeah, so basically after that I went back to Malaysia. I also worked in China for 2 years, and then again go back to Malaysia. So all the while we've been involved in sales and marketing, and we also my brother and I, Ken and I, we also started a company in Malaysia which deal with healthcare products and supply to pharmacy chains. So we got a lot of experience in sales and marketing. So yeah, but we made a choice to migrate over here. So we came over here in 2004. So after that, I've been involved in training, teaching in colleges. So yeah, basically, in sales and marketing and in management. So basically, that is my profile in a nutshell. Yeah.
So that's great. In 2007, lots of students, international students came over here. So you took that decision a long time ago. So which thing inspired you to come over here and study in Australia? And the good thing, like you studied over here, you went back and then you started your own organization and again you came back to Australia. So how it happened, like which thing made you to do that thing possible?
Yeah, I mean, good question. I mean, basically, what makes me come to Australia is because, from young, my parents, especially my father, told me that you should get a Western education, because it's well recognized and high standard and all that. So basically, that was already programmed from very young age. Yeah. So after I came here and did my education, and then I went back, then I start to realize, some of the things is not as rosy as it's supposed to be, you see. So of course, when I went back, I was lucky enough to venture into a business, and then we have some small success from there. Yeah.
So like as so many students are coming over here in the beginning, before coming, they got huge expectations from themselves because they all are professional. Few of them done job in offices, like they got professional degrees. So before, like when they arrive over here, they need to do some different things. So did you face hard time during your journey over here?
Oh, yeah, of course. Like any migrant, okay, I mean, I'm only talking from my perspective and my experience. I can't speak for everyone as a migrant, but in general, yes. I mean, most of the problem that we face. Say, for example, I understand there's a lot of people from your listeners, mostly are from Punjab, right? So there may be highly qualified people over there, but when they came over here, they should set their expectation right. So you cannot expect, if you are a, like a very, say, I don't know, a sales manager in Punjab, and then you expect here to have a same sort of position in an organization here in Australia. I think from my experience that is pretty unrealistic. Yes. So just to give you an example, like in our college, there's a lady from Pakistan. She just migrated here because her husband, also from Pakistan, but they get married and migrated over here. She came over here just only 2 months. So she's a Siemens engineer in Pakistan, right? Yeah, but when she came here, she started off. I mean, of course, she's only here for 2 months, but currently she's working as a receptionist in an organization. So that sort of expectation. I mean, you should actually have realistic expectation. Yeah, this is what I want to tell your listener from my perspective. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. So now my next question is from Mr. Michael. So Michael is very quiet. So Michael, like who inspired you to write a book and why you choose only this topic, like migrating to Australia? So can you tell us a little bit about that?
So yeah, of course. Okay. It's like this. Basically, all right. So, all right. To get this started is like this, because how we get started is, when we went back to Malaysia, we are from Malaysia, right? So when we went back from Malaysia for holiday as a migrant, so we also meet up some other friends who migrated to overseas. Some friends and relatives who migrated to overseas, not necessarily Australia. Sometimes they are Canada, UK, and all that. But all the while we are hearing only positive comment, like how good the system is, how fair the system is, and all that. Only paint a good picture. But having lived here for around almost a decade, we know that not all. I mean, I'm not saying it's not good. I mean, it's not all that good. Like in life, everything that's good and bad. So we only hear the good side. So we just came up with ideas saying that I think these people are not bringing up the whole picture. So one thing leads to another, and then we just thought that we put everything in a book to express our point of view. So maybe Ken could add on that.
Yeah. So me and Michael, we always get together regularly, and then we talk. So sometimes over a drink or over, a meal, we have all these views. And then we thought, why not we put it in a book? Because for us, it's so easy because we have facilities in the university, in the colleges, with all the resources. And so we took up the decision to put everything down in a book. And sometimes our friends send us emails asking us about situations here. They also want to migrate here, considering migration. And some of them are from our emails and all that. So one thing leads to another, as Michael says, so we put up in the book and then, divide into a few chapters. And last year, Michael went back to Malaysia. I actually contacted a few over the email, a few publishers. And Michael went to see one of them. And we were so lucky to have the only publisher that we met, and then they were talking for more than 1 hour, and then, they look at the story, they like the story, and then they published the book. Yeah, we're quite lucky in that sense.
So that's great. Fortunately, we got a very beautiful book, and I read few pages. We'll discuss about them as well. So So. Michael, as you are co-author of this book, have you had any argument with Mr. Kane about the topic or word selection? Because both of you are real brother and you must have a intimate relationship. And being as a younger brother, it happens. So I'm saying from my own personal experience, have you faced anything like that?
Not in this project. I mean, of course, we do have arguments, but in this project, surprisingly, no, because from the start, because this is what we agreed, is it? Ken, because this is a brainchild from Ken, so he is going to make all the important decisions. So at the I'm mainly for a lot of brainstorming, like playing the devil's advocate, putting thinking head, okay, say for example, to give you an example, I'm a sparring partner. So he's a champion, I'm the sparring partner to help him train. So he make all the decisions. So that is from what we agree from day one. So in this project we don't have any argument.
Not in this project. Yeah. We have arguments on silly things, but not this project.
That's right.
That's really wonderful. So for all listeners, if they want to share their opinion, if they want to ask any question to Mr. Michael and Ken Soong, so phone lines are open. So if you're outside Melbourne, so you need to put a code 03, and our number is 95448556. So I'll repeat that thing in Punjabi. So ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਵੀ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਕਾਲ ਕਰਨੀ ਹੈ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਮੈਲਬਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ, ਤਾਂ ਸਾਡਾ ਨੰਬਰ ਹੈਗਾ 95448556, ਤੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜੇ ਮੈਲਬਨ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਹਰੋਂ ਕਾਲ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ, ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਕੋਡ ਲਗਾਉਣਾ ਪਏਗਾ 03. So I'll repeat the number again. It's 03, that is the code, and our number is 95448556. So we'll wait for your call. So, gentlemen, our show is going on great. So now we'll talk about the book itself in depth. And yesterday I was reading the book and I haven't finished yet. But let's give our listener a brief idea about the book and its ingredients. So our first chapter, in your book, is about Western culture. If Western culture is good for us. So what do you think, Mr. Soong? Are we making our reader a little bit afraid towards our Western society? Because we are a little bit, bad.
Right.
I won't say bad thing, flaws and drawbacks of Western culture. So tell us a little bit about that.
Of course, Andre. You see, before I say, you see, the thing is this. We are from Malaysia, and a lot of listeners are from India, right? So I think we share a very common ground in that sense because both countries, both society has a British colonial past, right?
Yes.
And English is pervasive. English is so common in our countries, in your hometown, in your countries as well. So we might think that we are a little bit more westernized compared with people from Taiwan, from Thailand, from Korea, from China, with a more homogeneous culture. Even from Japan too, Japan can be very non-westernized compared to Indians and Malaysians, right?
Yes, sir, that's true.
So, even so, right, we might think that we are so westernized. Not that westernization is a good thing or bad thing, but a lot of people perceive this as a good thing. But we think that we are so westernized that we are very comfortable with Hollywood movies and BBC. So we think that even when we use computers, everything is in English. You'll be surprised how the Thai use the computers. Everything is in Thai. The Chinese, everything is in Chinese character on the internet.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure you come across friends from your university, right?
Yeah. That's true, because everyone got their own dictionaries in their own language, so that thing really fascinates. Oh, what's that?
Exactly. So we Malaysians and Indians, everything is English, so we think we are westernized. But when you come here, you realize that the Western culture that we perceive before is a bit different, because what we see, the Westerners we come across in our countries are perhaps more well-educated, more well-traveled, more sensitive in terms of culture. But when you come to Australia, you realize that you have a big mix of different types of westernized people, Western people. So some of the Western people might not be as friendly or as open as we think. And we thought of, listing them out all in the first chapter, because Australia is part of the bigger Western culture. So if we can get rid of all these myths, then, we will probably have a more pleasant experience. So I hope that our readers will not be intimidated by all these myths, Yeah, and then the other thing is I also have a lot of interaction with students in the classroom, me and Michael, and I think we sort of have a lot of this, common understanding, like, oh, right, so this is Western culture. We call it otherwise, but over here, things are a bit different. Like, for example, like in one of the myths we talk about is like, how Western societies are tolerant. How tolerant are Western societies to other cultures. And I realize, isn't it?
Yeah.
So one point we mentioned here is, Dr. Sashi Tharoor from India, right? He used to work for UN as well. He said that, in some aspects, Indian societies are more tolerant about different cultures. Like he said that in 2009, he said 5 years ago, the world, right, was very impressed about the Indian election, because the election was won by a woman political leader of Italian origin and Roman Catholic faith, Sonia Gandhi.
Yes, Sonia Gandhi. You're talking about Sonia Gandhi.
Who then made way for a Sikh, Mr. Manmohan Singh, Dr. Manmohan Singh from Cambridge, right? To be sworn in as a prime minister by a Muslim president, Abdul Kalam. Right?
Yes.
In a country 81% Hindu. Yes? So this thing will never happen in Australia. Not in our lifetime, as far as we can, imagine.
So you raise a really good point, sir. My co-host, Mr. Surinder Singh, would like to say something, and he wants to raise some questions. So, Mr. Surinder Singh, can you put your views as well?
Yes, of course. Thanks for having me on the call.
Of course, you see. That is the myth that we're talking about, because before we came and live here, we thought Western culture are very tolerant. They should be open, they are progressive, they are tolerant towards different culture. I'm not saying they are not, but of course they are, but to a certain extent. But say, for example, like Ken just mentioned, that sort of political tolerance in India, I think it's very difficult for that to happen in Australia in our lifetime. Say, for example, if you look back the political history of Australia, if you could look back, every prime minister, basically, they come from a typical background and profile. White Anglo-Saxon heritage. Yeah, that is sort of the invisible thing. That of course they don't put down in writing. That don't put down in constitution. They are just basically it's like this. It's already accepted as their norm.
Yeah. That's why when JFK, John F. Kennedy in the U.S. became president, it's like breaking a lot of precedent because it's a Catholic.
So, if we see Melbourne, I stayed over there for 3 years, and in Melbourne, it's a multicultural. People are used to people from various culture, and now they got the third generation, or it might be fifth generation going on over there. So if you are going to, Western Australia, South Australia, so the saturation of immigrants is a bit less, and these days government is more like, emphasizing on their immigration, or might be their transportation of the things to that particular state. So what you want to say about that thing? Like, why such a difference, like as compared to Victoria, Western Australia, or South Australia? Because people are not used to do these sort of things. They are not familiar with different culture. What's the reason behind that from your perspective?
Well, I think history plays a big part because, Anglo-Saxon background, they have a lot of British migrants before. That could be one reason. And, having said all these things, I would like to say Australian people are, by nature quite decent and quite relaxed, compared to people from other countries. But still, there are some boundaries, there are still some limits. So I think the Anglo-Saxon culture or the history plays a big role in that because they're just not exposed enough. Look at the population. Like my students say, every week they can have one Melbourne in their hometown because, that population is so, the population association is too small, and then they don't have a lot of exposure. Yeah, so to add on that, if your question is directing, if your question means that why, Melbourne is more tolerant compared to Western Australia, is that your question?
Yes, that was my question.
Yeah. I think history makes a big part because I think if you look at Melbourne has a very long history of migrants coming from, say, like Greece and Italy. Later on after the 70s from Vietnam, and recently in the 90s there are Chinese coming in. But like Western Australia, mainly if you look back at history, Western Australia is a state that is not built by the convicts. It's settled by the people of free will. So I think there's a lot of strong Anglo-Saxon or British heritage present in Australia, Western Australia. But whereas Victoria, throughout the last 100 years, you've got a lot of people coming from all parts of the world, especially after World War II, a lot of European migrants came in. So I think that makes would actually makes the difference between like to your questions why Victoria or Melbourne is more tolerant compared to Western Australia. Yeah, on the whole, Melbourne, Sydney, these are quite cosmopolitan places. Other than that, probably still need more migrants, more inflow and more interaction before they become more open.
Yeah, that's true. Because in my country, like most of people, they are in Melbourne, in Sydney, and few people are thinking like Sydney is the capital of Australia. I'm not sure in your culture that's the same thing, but people think, oh, it's not that bad.
Yeah, I think yes, our culture too. A lot of people think that Sydney could be the capital, not Canberra. Canberra is like in the middle of nowhere.
Yes, that's true. And so the next topic, Mr. Michael, if you can tell us a little bit about that. Like the next topic is land of opportunities. We all know it's a land of opportunity when we consider, the jobs or the universities or the career thing. But if we consider a writer point of view, how different are your thoughts? So, why? Yeah.
Yeah, like land of opportunities. Yes, of course, you see. It really depends on your perspective. Say, for example, if you are work, the way I see it, land of opportunity question mark. Okay, so that means the conventional wisdom is that Australia is a lucky country, is a land of opportunities. So it depends on your perspective and your situation, right? Say, for example, if you are working, if I am a janitor or a cleaner working in Malaysia, in low wages, okay, discriminative society, of course, when I come over here to Australia, it's land of opportunity because if I work as a cleaner in Australia, I still can, it's not fantastic, but I still can live a decent life. I still can afford to pay my rent, to rent a modest room or apartment and have some lifestyle, right? So
Yes.
For this category of people, it will be land of opportunity. But if you are a businessman in your country, right? If you are from your country, if you are a businessman, you are well established,
Even professionals.
or even professionals, right? Like if you are a Siemens engineer, right, from Pakistan. So you come here, that really depends on your expectations, right? If you expect to have the same career path as successful as in your country, I'm not saying that it's not possible, but that would be more challenging.
Yes. I'd like to add that also. It's not impossible, all right? But it is hard. The reason I say it's not impossible is because we personally have come across some people who have made it, right? Like, for example, in our new project currently we are doing, we interview one Indian entrepreneur, right? He started a company in 2009, and today his company is one of the fastest growing company in Australia that was featured in Business Review Weekly. His name is Mr. Shetan Saligrama. He runs a company called Thought World, customer service company. He also have call centers in India and around the world as well. So call centers with, in Melbourne, in around the world, in India as well. And his uncle is I'm sure you know the name better than me. He's the head, right? He's the leader at NASA, NASA, right? NASA in America. That is his uncle. So, right? I mean, Indians are doing well in Silicon Valley and elsewhere around the world. The steel tycoon in England. But not saying it's not possible, but it is a little bit hard because that's why a lot of people are returning to India, or the Chinese people are returning to China today. From Silicon Valley back to India to Bangalore, and then they'll be running a lot of corporations and making a hell lot of impact, right? Yes. So I mean, for the ambitious, this is just a springboard. Australia is just a springboard. Maybe it's a springboard onto something bigger, at the global stage that will include Asia for sure, not just in Australia. Yes.
So, Mr. Surinder Singh wants to say something to you, sir. So he's also with us. So, Surinder would like to express your opinion as well.
Yes. First of all, thanks for having me on your show, and I would like to congratulate both the gentlemen for their book.
Thank you, Surinder. Thank you, sir.
No worries. And I would like to say that you were talking about the cost of living here in Australia. I think you touched up a little bit on that. I would say that for people who initial immigrants, they have to go through different lifestyle as compared to Australian people. For example, none of the Australian people, or very less Australian people live in shared accommodation, whereas the struggling immigrants who come to here, they have to go through shared accommodation because of the higher living expenses as compared to other countries. Do you agree with me on this point?
Absolutely. Yes, and I can perfectly understand why migrants do that. We used to do that too. We work in a supermarket, we do fruit picking, we live in the living room, sharing with a few other friends in a small apartment. Yes.
And especially, I would also say that a lot of Australian people, nationals, they believe that whoever comes to this land, which we call the land of opportunities, they expect them to be extremely fluent in English and also to speak their own accent. Like even if you speak English clear enough, but if you don't speak in their accent, they feel there is a communication barrier. Even it's just the mentality. Am I right in that saying?
You are very right, sir, Surinder. This is absolutely the Australian attitude. Even if you compare them with Americans, they are perhaps more used to different accents from around the world. Yes.
That's right. Yeah. So it's a good show, and I'll keep listening, and I'll ask Amritpal to continue.
Yes, yes. Thanks so much
Okay,
for
thank you,
question.
Sundar. It's a really wonderful question, and Mr. Soong and Michael, they they answer it really very well. So,
Thank you.
Michael and Mr. King, can you tell us any incidents which happened, like when you just came to Australia and something, very amusing happened? Because I can share my opinion. One of my friends, his name is Kyle. So what happened? He just bought a car and he was not aware about the rules and regulation, and because he has to drive a car, so he was not aware about the rules. So what happened? Like pedestrian light was red.
Yep.
And he got a green light, and he was saying, to being polite, to being, a little bit generous, he was asking to that lady, okay, not a problem, carry on, you can go.
Yeah.
And the lady was saying, oh, no, it's your right, you must go. So something like this happened to you when you came over here?
Yeah. I mean, we also have some very interesting experiences as well. Yeah. Like, for example, going through the doors, sometimes, in Malaysia, we're never used to holding the door for someone who is coming behind us. So to them, they might think it's a bit rude, but to us, it's normal. Everybody holds their own door. So now, of course, we hold the door for everyone.
Yeah, different culture. From my experience, is like, for example, if you are waiting in a queue to be served, because from our culture, more on the Asian culture, even though, say, for example, if you go to a bank, the bank teller is serving another customer. But if you got a quick question, in our culture, it's not rude to jump in and ask one short question and then off you go, right? I'm pretty sure I talk to customers or students from India that say, yeah, it's pretty normal, right? So it's not, people won't get offended. But over here, it's very different. Even though you got one short question, but you still need to wait in the line and wait for your turn.
Yeah, with 5 people in front of you, just ask one question,
Yeah. So, that is something amusing, which is, it's perfectly fine. We understand that because every culture has different way of doing things. So, of course, when we just came over here, we got some sort of getting used to on this sort of small little incidents in day-to-day life. But,
Yeah, that's right. Another thing is they like to blow the nose on the train, which is very normal because they cover it with a handkerchief. But they can be very loud, and then we might think that it's a bit rude. But actually in Australia, it's a very normal thing to do. Of course, on the other hand, some Chinese people will spit on the floor everywhere, which is very rude to Australians because Australians don't do that. But, especially the Chinese people, they like to spit everywhere on the floor. Yeah, but the Chinese don't blow their nose on the train.
So yesterday I was reading your book, and one topic is about choosing the right suburb. And
Yes.
I've seen few families moving to another suburb because of school, kids' education, jobs, and many other reasons. Because from my own experience, I have met few families. Those have moved to Glen Beverly because of the education, the school's quality. So, can you tell us a little bit more about that? Why choosing a right suburb is good for a new immigrant? Because in English we are saying you will never get a second chance to make a first impression. So,
Yes.
could be that would be the thing.
Yes. Of course. Choosing the right suburb, we are more focused on choosing a suburb that is right, for us financially, economically, yet at the same time, it's not too run down or too rust belt. Because some suburbs can be very affordable and very cheap, good for the wallet, but sometimes you might expose your children to some bad influences because they probably have a history of drugs and violence. You see, yeah. And then the other thing is a lot of people think that, okay, then I pay more money to live in better suburbs. The more money I pay, I think I will get the better suburb. Also not true, because there are some suburbs in Melbourne or in some other cities who are very near to the CBD, all right, but they also have a bad history of drugs and alcohol and violence. But just because they are near a train station that is 2 stations away from the city, and the house prices just goes up, tremendously over the years, over the past few years. What is the reason for that? It's because Australia infrastructure is not, developing with time, right? It's not catching up with the development of the population, so that there's no highways, no accessible highways for people who live far from the city. Therefore, everybody is like scrambling to want to live near the city, therefore pushing up the suburb, real estate prices, but not necessarily good quality suburb, but still expensive. Yes.
Yeah, because that's the thing. If someone is coming alone just for the education, they can live in a sharing and they can, pull in the accommodation, rent, groceries. But when you're coming with your family, moreover, when you got your own children, at that time it would be more difficult. So then they really don't want to live in that locality, but because of the circumstances, because of the situation, they have to, live in these suburbs. So could be this is a reason, Mr. Soong?
Yes, I absolutely can relate to that. That's why, that's why new migrants have to be, careful about their safety. Careful about safety. That means that they don't want to find themselves alone in a very unfriendly hour, in an unfriendly street, on an unfriendly street. That will be very dangerous, and that is precisely what has happened to some of the very unfortunate overseas students over the past few years here in Melbourne. Yes.
And one thing more, they're saying if you move towards the railway line, the accommodation prices is getting cheaper. But if you're getting away from that, if you're getting closer to the city circle, then the prices are going up. So what's your advice for new students or new immigrants? Where should they stay so that they can save their expenses and they can have, a convenience so that it would be approachable to a railway station, bus stops, or grocery shops, all these things. So where should they stay?
Okay. You see, the main thing is this. They have to, first of all, consider their own unique situation. Some students have no cars. They have to live near train stations so that they can get access to the school easily and to work in everywhere. So they have no choice. Then they have to live in that place. But they have to find good friends who can support each other, concerned about each other's safety. And also, they probably also can, save up, or a few students share to buy a car first, even though they can't afford to buy alone. They should share with a few friends to have a car. But most importantly, they must be living together with good friends who are concerned about each other. So that, for example, someone is coming back from the train station, have to walk 20 minutes from the station to home at 11:30. So someone in the home has to drive up to pick him up. Don't let him, exposed to all this danger.
Yeah, and also I want to add to something for new migrants, your listener. Is do not think that if you have nothing valuable on you, you don't bring anything valuable, so you will not invite crime. Because from your country, at least from my country, from my culture, usually crime happens because of financial motivation. Right? They rob your wallet, and if you've got nice phone, they rob your phone. For ladies, you carry bag, they snatch your bag. That's always mostly financially motivated. But over here, you must beware, because you must not let your guard down just because you think that, I got nothing valuable on me, so people won't target me. Over here, it's different because there's a lot of alcohol abuse and drug abuse. Sometimes they just commit crime, senseless crimes, not for money, for fun, just for the fun of it. So this is what I want to advise your listener or potential new migrant, because over here it's very different from where you came from. People commit crime. Sometimes they just go out and punch some old people just for fun, and dash out some old people just for fun, and then they don't really rob them, and then off they go.
Yeah, I mean, in our country, people do it for for other reasons. I mean, for financial reasons, because they need the money. But for here, they can go to Centrelink, the government, to get the money, the welfare payment. But they just do the crime for the fun of it, because they're on drugs, because they're frustrated, or probably, they have a bad mood that day, and then they want to go out on the street and bash someone, and they always single out people who look different from them, right?
Yeah. So this is what I want to tell you. Listen, don't let your guard down.
Yeah.
Don't just think that, I got nothing valuable, so they won't target me, so it's okay.
Yeah.
That is a big mistake, I can tell you that.
Yeah, we have students being robbed, right? Like in Box Hill, because he was absent for 2 weeks, and then when I saw him, his turban was down, he was wearing a cap because he has stitches on the forehead. Why? Because 4 guys robbed him of his phone and wallet. And when he go to the police station that day, 5 other students also at the police station, right? Because the same gang was operating in that area. So one last thing I'd like to add is when we walk on the streets, we see people who are suspicious coming our direction. Don't hesitate to cross the road just to stay away from them. Don't worry about making them feel bad, because we want to be at a safe distance. We never know what kind of people they are. Yes.
So we got one more question now, and Mr. Surinder is again want to ask something. So,
yes.
Mr. Surinder, is your question is ready?
Yeah. I would like to say it's not actually a question. I would like to tell people that when these sort of incidents were happening, when people were getting robbed during the nights, and it still keeps on going, but these issues were getting highlighted at one stage, and there were a lot of incidents. Police were suggesting people to not to show off what they've got. Like if they've got some valuable thing like expensive phone or everything, there is a lot of chances that you will get robbed if you are showing what you've got. And secondly, a lot of immigrant people, they got an inferiority complex. They think that they are not equal to all these people, and they just sit in a corner and they will just sit like. They don't even communicate with people. So that sort of attitude also brings up the problems, indirectly or directly. Do you agree with me, gentlemen?
Yeah, basically, I definitely agree with you. Like especially, you say some immigrants that keep themselves in a corner, because sometimes this is their culture, is it?
It is.
I mean,
it's part of the culture. But when we come here, we have to sort of integrate with. You don't have to totally indulge in Australian culture, but still you have to accept some of their good virtues, and they will also accept your good virtues, and also you have to sort of communicate. You have to to get rid of your problems. You have to do something.
Yes.
And being able to communicate, and that's also a good thing, because if you are in an English-speaking country, you have to practice English as much as you can, and that's a good chance for you too.
Yes, we absolutely agree on that too. It's no good keeping everything to ourselves, even though it's a culture, but at least maybe make an effort to assimilate and talk to these people. Yeah, no problem with that. That's why we also encourage readers to do that, or some students. Not join the club and all that. Yeah.
You touched that's what I was gonna go ask. The clubbing, because I come from Punjab, and in Punjabi culture we don't go to clubs and all these things. So Australian people blame that these people don't know how to socialize. So there are different ways to socialize, and clubbing is not the only way to socialize. So what ways you have used to socialize, or what is clubbing part of your culture, or the cultures that you know closely? What do you say about that?
I totally agree with you, Surinder. Yes, over here, when I say have a good time, I think most of the time they are having a good time involves alcohol.
That's right.
Involves clubbing, involves opposite sex, the sex appeal thing. Yes, it's different from our culture. When we say having a good time, basically a lot of maybe relatives visiting each other or close friends going to a house, you know, to have a feast and talk without all the alcohol and things like that. Yeah, I mean, I do agree from your point of view over there. So yeah, sometimes it's the way they socialize is very different, and yeah, talking about this topic, the way they treat a friend is also very different from the way we treat a friend.
That's right, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because in Asian sort of cultures, a friend is like highly respected, and you can sacrifice yourself from friend, whereas there's no personal life between. You know, you can't say that's my personal thing to your friend. It's all.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
that's right. That's right. Exactly. But over here, it's a bit different. I mean, I'm not saying that it's a bad or good thing, but I'm just highlighting to your listener that there's a difference because they respect a lot of personal space. So a friend in our culture is very different from how a friend behaves in their culture. To give you an example, I have noticed that like when I was in uni. Like, you know, I live in the accommodation on campus, so we have a lot of Australians. So, and I know when I get over here, sometimes on Friday night, they say have a good time, that means going clubbing. Yeah, I mean, I join them. So I realized one thing which is very different. Say, for example, if like 6 of us going out together, in my culture, in Asian culture, I'm pretty sure in your culture as well, we expect 6 of us, if we go out together, we expect 6 of us to come back together. Am I right?
That's right.
It's very normal. Like, yeah, we go out, 6 of us go together, so 6 friends come back together. So we will wait for each other and things like that, so everyone will come back at the same time. Yeah. But over here, it's very normal that 6 of them they go out. So when they come back, it's like you are on your own.
Yes.
You are on your own. If you've got something to do, you can leave early without saying anything. Or if you meet up you have meet up a friend or you pick up some girls, say for example. So you just you go with them. You forget about your friends. And to them,
you don't even bother to call them or message them.
Exactly. Yeah, about their safety. You know, they don't even care about each other's safety. Yeah, and then it's like very normal. And then they won't feel offended. That's how you treat a friend. Like and if we happen to us, we will be very offended, right? I mean, like this friend, absolutely. Not supposed to do that, you know, brother, or things like that, right? So yeah, so that is one thing we should be aware of. You see, so when we say friend, they have different meaning or behavior. So that is very that's why we want to highlight. Yeah, that's right.
So it was a very good discussion. So thank you, Sridhar, for asking from your own experience. Because when we are going to new school, new uni, so for first 2 weeks or for first couple of weeks, we experiencing it's a different environment. It's something unusual. So slowly over a period of time, we get used to do, and we are feeling comfortable with that thing. So all these things, and we all got a different culture. So for immigrants especially, like that is a really big concern. So Mr. Michael and Ken Soong, my next question, our next topic is, like in your book, like many universities over here, and every year thousands of students are coming here for tertiary education and many other, trade courses like Certificate 3 in Automotive or Multimedia and many other. So can you elaborate how good is Australian education for our children over here? Because people are thinking, abroad, he's going to, abroad for higher education. So
yes, okay.
Yeah,
so
right.
How
yeah.
good
education we got? I would like to add up a question with Amrit Pal. Sorry to interrupt you guys. You've touched really good question, Amrit Pal. I've been an international student, and have you covered the aspects in your book about Australia, not only the Australian education, but education outside Australia? Because I chose Australia and I have studied in Australia, and I've found it absolutely great. They deliver quality education. So do you want to touch on the education delivered out of Australia, like in United States or in Canada or in UK? A lot of people are going there to study. So how can you compare education in Australia to all these countries?
Okay, all right. The thing is this.
a lot of students that come to Australia for education with a view of getting a permanent residence, which is, make absolutely good sense. But if they just come in here for the quality of education, the answer is yes and no. Right? The answer to the question, is the Australian education good? Yeah. Answer is yes and no. If you just come here for the education, some courses, I can tell you, like, medicine or technology, engineering, IT. I mean, IIT in India, right? It is way ahead of Australian, leading universities.
Okay.
Because
I mean, the way they deliver, like, I've found it. I've been through. I've studied nursing, and the way they deliver the modes they choose, like they use video, they use audio, it's very flexible and you can learn easily. Whereas I've studied in Indian education system. I haven't been to IIT, but I've studied I've done a bachelor's degree, and I haven't really found that education system anywhere near to Australian system, because they've got education system which was designed maybe 30, 40 years ago, and they haven't changed anything in it. They just keep on adding, making it harder and harder, even to the school-going children in India.
All right, I see.
A lot of burden on them. They don't have four-directional growth. They've got only one focus on only academics. So from that perspective, I just want to ask you that. You've compared very good to India. What do you say about other countries? Have you
okay.
Yeah. With,
all right. Yes. Thanks for that question, Surinder. Personally, I have joined a few conferences because I joined the Australian New Zealand Academy of Management. So where all the management teachers will meet up and present their conference papers, some of them leading to PhD, some of them postdoctoral degrees. So I realized that comparing to other countries, yes, sometimes we have overseas professors and scholars from America and from Hong Kong and from UK, and from Taiwan as well. India also. I find that Australia will probably rank number three. Okay. In terms of research and development, in terms of the academic standard. As far as my field is concerned, my field was management, business strategy, and marketing. This area, I think the research standard probably in America is a bit higher. It's a bit higher than Australia. Yeah.
Okay.
So one more thing, Michael and Ken, because behind the success, or we always have a mentor. So for the success of this book, who are the people those motivated you, or they said, okay, go for it? And would you like to give the contribution, or would like to mention few names, like those who have participated and helped you for the completion of this project?
Okay, sure. Of course, first of all, we are very grateful of our family and our mom, right, my mother, right. Of course, everybody in the family, but we want to single out our mom as a very good mentor for us and very good, very good friend of us as well. She in fact, she's just sitting next to us at the moment in this radio show.
That's great.
So we want to dedicate this success, if you like to call it, to her. Yeah. And of course, in the book also we mentioned about our grandmother, right? The book that we want to dedicate to, but she already passed away in 1994. But she's a very courageous woman. Yeah, I mean, she was born in a time, a lot of upheaval. Went to Myanmar. From China, went to Myanmar. From Myanmar, went to Malaysia, and went through the World War II. Right, World War II, when the Japanese occupation happened. And yeah, that's right.
So you both of you are really very fortunate, and you have learned, over a period of time, such a great thing. And it's an honor, to talk with you, to conversate with you. So before, concluding, just give us, our listener, a brief idea about the book, from where they can get the book, how much it costs, and if they want to go it online. So just give us a brief information about that.
Yes. The book is available on bookshop, it's all in Malaysia. They're on the shelf across Malaysia and Singapore. But they can go to online bookstore of that company. It's called www.mph, mph.online, online, right? mphonline.com.my. And they can type in the word Ken Soong or Michael Soong, and the title of the book is called Migrating to Australia, Good Meh, M-E-H, with a one question mark, because the meh is actually our Malaysian English slang. Yeah, it's like how good it is to migrate to Australia. So we talk about good and bad, not just the good things, because a lot of people, they only like to tell you the good story when they go back to their country for holiday. They say Australia is heaven on earth, but there's also another side. So we want to provide a more balanced view. www.mphonline.com.my. And the price of the book, of course, was quoted in Malaysian ringgit, 25 ringgit, which is actually less than $10 per book. Of course, add a bit of shipment and all that, and they can get the book. And also, they can all join us in Australia Good Meh on Facebook, right? Just type Australia Good Meh, go to Facebook, and then we can join as friends, and we will update everybody about our current project we're doing, because a lot of foreign migrants coming to Australia, they want to start their business, they're ambitious. That is what exactly we are doing this time. We're going to interview a lot of entrepreneurs from all across the world who are doing it, succeeding in Australia as we speak. One of them is Mr. Chetan Saligrama, which I will introduce to you for a later date. Yes, a very inspiring young man. Yes.
So it's a pleasure to talk with you, and may God give you lots of success, blessing, and wish you all the best for your new project. And we look forward for your now your guests, and hopefully in future we'll work on some new shows, and we always wait for you, look forward for your next visit. And from the bottom of my heart, on behalf of my whole team of Qaumi Awaaz, and from all the listeners from all around the world, so our best wishes. So thank you very much for coming on our show, Namia Raha. So now I'm speaking my own language. So दोस्तों थोनों सादा program interview किमेंदी लगी.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
दर्शक देव. So just before going, Mr. Michael, any message for our listeners? Anything you want to say?
Yeah, I mean, it's an honor for us to appear in your show. With such a wonderful host, Mr. yourself, Mr. Amrit Paul, and Mr. Surinder. So, I mean, may God bless all your listeners. And also, we want to wish them all the best if they choose to live in this country. We are just highlighting, we are not saying it's good or bad, we are just highlighting the difference. So when they come in, they will have, ready psychologically to face the challenges. Or even sometimes you will have a lot of pleasant surprise, which is a good thing, you see.
Yes, that's right. And I want to add one last thing. I'm Ken here. I think coming to Australia, there's one piece of advice, very, very useful. That piece of advice actually comes from Amrit's father, Amrit is kind enough to share that with us in the class last time, about 2 years ago. I still remember, I always tell my students and everybody, be like a cold steel, because a cold steel, nobody can bend you. Nobody can do anything because cold steel are hard. If you lose a temper, you become like a hot, heated red steel, and people can bend you any way you like, any way they like, even though it's a steel, but it's a hot steel. Losing a temper is no good. So I think your father gives a very good advice.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is Michael here. Yes, Ken share that advice with me, and I have to say that is one of the best advice I have ever heard.
Yes.
I think your father is a very, very wise man.
Yeah, he's a very wise man, and And I'd like to tell your father that we are proud of you, Amrit, and I'm sure he's very proud of you. And also want to thank Surinda and all our listeners for this wonderful opportunity. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. And if you like to, comment on our Facebook page, you can go to Qaumi Awaaz. You can search that thing, and you can share your opinion, and you can also email, it's for all